everyone. How are y'all doing? Thanks so much for tuning in. This is REDinFamy, your master geektress, and I am here with the rising star in the fighting game community, the fighting game scene, and esports in general, and representing us Black women for sure. Cuddle Core. Hold up, that was bars. That was bars, right? Yeah, Cuddle, Cuddle Core. So, sis, thank you so much. I love everything that you've been standing for, and like I had said, I recently did a panel for PAX online, and it was really inspired off of one of the tweets that you had, and you were speaking on how it's a shame how we don't speak more about Black women in esports. And that's in any facet, from executives to players to owners of teams to casters, commentators, cosplays, whatever. Like, that's never a topic, when we talk about esports, that's never a thing. So I thank you so much for being outspoken. And it created a whole movement, period, because, it's our job to change the narrative. We can be upset about something, but it's now our jobs to actually change the narrative, and don't care what other people is doing. It's for us to just do it. So thank you so much, because you've been an inspiration, and I wanted to continue the movement of it from the panel. And of course I had to start it out with you because you inspired it. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really glad to just, to be able to talk about everything here today. The tweet, I've always been one to be very outspoken. I never really stray away from something just because, somebody might see it as political, because it's not. Everybody's voices deserves to be heard, especially if you're trying to talk to a certain demographic, a certain group. But then you isolate the women within that group, there is a problem. And I noticed it. And I was reading other women's tweets about those same problems. And I'm like, this is not okay. Because we were doing tons of stuff too at the time for like charity events and raising money. And I saw that so much, but the fact that it got ignored and all they focused on were Black men, I'm like, this is... it was very unsettling. So I'm like, with my platform, I want to speak. I want to be able to speak and, support other women who, were like, this is wrong.
So yeah, thank you. Because a lot of, some of us may be apprehensive on speaking out on certain topics, but then when we see someone that look like us and we see someone in the position that they are in, then it's like, okay, I could say that too. So thank you again for speaking up. That's something that we definitely need to do, especially in the times that we're in now. There's a lot as far as us as Black women. So to get to know you more as well, I would love to know like your humble beginnings in gaming. A lot of us have that childhood, what stuck with you, what made you want to continue playing video games, because statistics show, and I've seen it firsthand just from family members that are women, a lot of girls start out playing video games, but by the time they reach a teenager, it's like it erases, because it's so many things surrounding around them as far as what a girl should be into, or little girls don't play video games, that's for boys, or well, you shouldn't want to be a computer engineer or computer programmer if you want to make games, because that's geared towards men. So like, what's your start in gaming, and why it stuck with you all the way into making it a career?
Well, from what you just mentioned about like the societal norms and gender norms placed on women, and people in general, like you said, they start from a really young age. By the time they're teenagers, it's almost like they don't even remember it, or it's erased. The thing is, when I was growing up, that never was erased, because video games were such a common part of my house. Like, my dad still is a gamer to this day, but like too. He, it's always one of the parents or both of them or somebody in the family who plays a lot, and then they're like, hey, play with me, and you're like, okay, yeah, like, you know, when you're a kid and you think your dad is one of the coolest people in the world, and you know, you share that with them, you bond with them, and then you just happen to like it. Because of course, there's tons of hobbies that you pick up as a kid because you like them, but you know, then you don't do them because you actually realize you're not that good at it, or you just don't like it that much. But gaming was something that I found was really fun. It was a way for me to express myself, and it was a great way for me to like bond with my dad. I got to try out a ton of different games, and especially growing up in this really odd like time where, you know, you're one of the only Black families on the block, and so sometimes it's kind of hard to like make friends sometimes at school, more specifically. And so you kind of feel like you're like, you know, sometimes you don't know, well, I didn't feel like I knew my identity at some points the older I got. And so as you're trying to find that, you know, you're trying to be yourself. I think gaming was one of those things that always kind of like centered me back to kind of realizing who I was, because I don't know, I felt like I could always just, like I said, express myself through it. In fighting games, that was a really big thing for me. And picking the characters that I liked and recognizing that if I could practice something, I could get really good at it. And that's something that my dad really taught me too when I was a little kid, because I would get really mad when he beat me, because he sucked anyway. But you know, I was a kid, I didn't know the difference. But being able to play, and I remember all the music and the characters. We used to play Soul Calibur 3, Tekken 2, 3, all of them. Oh my God. But it's the memories, right? And just how iconic the games were, and the fact that I could pick a woman in a game and just, you know, destroy somebody. Like, oh my God, like, who doesn't think that's cool? But I really did enjoy that. And then I could pick characters that I could relate to. And that was really huge. So I think it kind of gave me some comfort at times when I definitely was confused on where do I fit?
So how did that, like, what was some of the games that was like, okay, like you mentioned Tekken, of course, you're a pro Tekken gamer right now. You analyze everything as well and commentate, and you share your expertise, which I'm definitely going to get into. But what was some of the games that was like, you know what? This was very pivotal in my life. Like, this changed the entire scope, and you start to kind of understand what gaming is all about.
Geez, there's so many games. Because I didn't just play Tekken, but Tekken was pretty popular in my house. But we played a lot of fighting games, so it was like KOF, Virtua Fighter, CVS2, the Marvel vs. Capcom as well.
I needed to be your neighbor, because like y'all had a whole arcade in there, fighting games. Like, for real.
Honestly, it was crazy, because like, I don't know, I would always look forward to going to like Hollywood Video or Blockbuster to rent the games. And I remember there was this game that I really, really liked. And it was really, maybe this was it. And it wasn't even a fighting game, but it was a really big deal to me. It was called Portal Runner, and it was about this doll. It was this army doll. She was green, like she had like green hair. She was so cool. But like, I do it through 20 levels. But I felt so good about myself because it was the first video game I bought with my own money, and I thought she was the coolest character. And I think that maybe, you know, as a little kid, I don't know. I don't know if it really changed everything about me, but I sure did feel good about buying that game, because I felt like the type of character she was amazing. You know, she was this awesome protagonist. The fact that she was very outspoken. I know a lot of people don't remember the game, but that game was it was a PS2 game. And she befriends a lion, goes to all these portals, through these different worlds. You're trying to save your boyfriend at the end. Like, it's very interesting, the theme, but there's something about it. I think it was one of my first adventure games. And, you know, going through a story, understanding the character. Like I said, female protagonist. I'm all about it. Like, that was my.
I gotta check that out. I don't remember that one, because
it's really good.
Yeah, because you're saving a dude. You know, like it's very rare to find a game where you're not a damsel in distress. You know what I'm saying? Like, women are not damsel in distress, but they actually is able to help their loved one or help their love, you know, whoever is their love interest in the game. It's very rare to find games. That's why when Hellblade came out, I was like, wow, you know, she's going through all of this just to, you know, reunite with the love of her life, but it's like in this dark way. So
yes. Hellblade was really good.
That game was fire. So like, getting into wanting to compete because a lot of times, and I've been in the FGC, I would say for a short period of time, but I got to see so much in this short period of time when I was covering fighting games and got to meet a lot of great notable people and seeing people's beginnings too. But a lot of what I did see, like I got a chance to meet Q. I love Q. I never got a chance to meet Burn Your Bra, but I've always heard so much about her. And she's definitely someone I need to talk to and have on here. But I always would see that with women in the fighting game community and in esports in general, and even in life, we always tend to want to be competitive, like so competitive against each other. And then on the other side, we have men that won't take us seriously, uh, as well as far as in the fighting games. Like, okay, you're a competitor. Okay, let's see if you're a competitor because of all the controversy that's in the FGC with women that just want to be in there just to have attention from a pro player. You have that. So what did you get a chance to see and you was like, you know what? Regardless of all those factors, I know I want to compete and I know I want to show my skills, and this is something I'm really into.
I'm so glad you asked that because there's a lot I want to say about it. Because it was really hard. And I only think that the thing that made it easy was the fact that every time I sat down, I forgot about all those things. Okay, so some things that I saw that kind of during competing or like kind of getting into it, I definitely like people when I would play, like people would say like, oh, you're better than this player or this female player that they would name, and I'm like, and I would say, I look at them like, well, I'm trying to be good for myself, not to be compared to anyone. And I'd have to say that because I'm like, you really think that means anything? It doesn't, because I have a whole slew of other people I have to deal with right over here that I have to fight. Like who cares about that person? Because it's like, I have to have, everybody's journey is very different. And the thing is, what happens with this community is that it's also men putting women against each other. Because and also like, I've seen it in other industries where it's like there can only be one for the women only. Have you noticed that? And I don't like that. That makes no sense, because it's not, oh, there can only be one woman, one exception to this. No, there's a ton of women doing their thing. And that's so important, because then, women are, then the women feel like, okay, we have to compete against each other and, pit ourselves against each other, because we see that, the golden exception to the rule, if that's her, then, I get treated better. And there should be equal treatment for every woman in this scene. And so that's my whole thing. Like that, I hated that. I didn't hear it often, but I sure did say like, no, my competition is everyone, mostly men, because, well, that's the majority of who I go against, unfortunately. But the fact is, like, that's who I have to worry about. That is my competition. Anybody who's in my way when I sit down, right? That's it. But it's not to compare to anything else. It's because we're competing in a tournament with money on the line. That's what that's about. But yeah, so there's that. Women having to deal with like this. I will definitely talk about how difficult this was at first for me. You know how, when I was starting to compete a lot more, earlier on, appearance, look, this was a very huge thing. And how, like, if you didn't have a certain look, oh God,
I was just about to ask you about that.
Yeah, and that was a thing, because like I also did a small little mini interview with Bring Your Bra as well, and she told me about that. If women in general didn't have like a certain look, like they weren't promoted the same, and that is it's a shame. It's a joke.
If they weren't white or Asian or looking like a damn near anime character, so like,
right. I really was that it's there's a lot of things wrong with this community in that regard, because it's not like players come in every shape, color, the way they sound, like the things they like. We're all very different, and with women, that's the whole thing. Like they try to put us in this box of how we should look, and that's the only way you can hear us, if we look this certain way. That's the only way we can respect you, if you look a certain way. And that's not how it should be. I can be like a thicker woman and you can still respect me. I can have shorter hair and you can still respect me. Like, there's so many things that didn't, like when I was like starting to compete more, like I've always experimented with my look, especially earlier on when I started competing, because I was still, I'm a person. I'm a person, and I'm trying to figure out,
us as black women, period, we have like 1 minute we'll look this way, next minute we got a different hairstyle, okay? Because that's how our hair is, okay? We have versatile hair. Woolly hair is versatile. And we always change our aesthetics. That's just us. Like 1 minute, you know, it might have lipstick on, next minute you might not. It might be lip gloss, okay? But you can notice that on melanated skin more. Like, so, but yeah, that was something that if someone don't want to wear makeup, they don't wear their makeup.
Exactly. And that's something that I definitely, like, at one point, like especially a lot last year, since I was on stage all the time and I was playing all the time. There was a lot of times where I would wake up earlier as my routine for the day of like the tournament and put on foundation. My skin is very sensitive. And so having to experiment with foundations, literally having my sister teach me how to put it on and apply it. I am not familiar with a ton of different types of makeup. The only reason I am now is because my sister taught me last year because I knew I was going to be in front of a lot of people. And that is partially because when I debuted 2 years ago, I was on TV and I killed it. But the problem was, I think some of it kind of got shadowed over the fact that some people were really mean about how I looked. And it was really bad. And it wasn't everybody, like, of course. But those things, like, no matter, like, you should know how, you should know that you look good, you feel good. No, sometimes that stuff does hurt, especially when you're first coming into the scene. And that's stuff that women have to deal with all the time. The fact that I'm not Asian or white, I shouldn't have to be. I am who I am. And so over the 2 years of me being on a pro team and embracing that and really claiming like my blackness, and loving it and screaming it to the highest heavens while killing it has been a very interesting process because there's a lot of things that I've experienced. I don't know if you call it trauma. I don't know. But emotionally, it was very like taxing, the comments about, if I'm transgender or, the fact that like, oh, she doesn't, play international players. So, it's not valid.
The stuff we don't hear against the men at all.
Right. Like, and then when I do start playing internationally, you don't hear anything. Yeah, I didn't think so. I did not think so because it's like, just because that doesn't make the women over in Asian countries better than me because they play against Japanese and Korean competition, but they still come over here and play us too. I don't get it. I'm like, that shouldn't matter. I'm just playing.
They come over here to learn too. Like they come over here to practice. They come to learn from us. Like,
yeah, but they think that Japan and Korea are the golden standard of what everything gaming or whatever is, and it's not, because like there's other places, like they come over here to learn from us too, like you said, and that's what it's about. But there's like this over idolizing and fetishizing of the culture in general.
Yeah,
and
I don't get it.
And it's very like I see like and then great community. I've been to Japan. They're awesome. I have no problems. It's people who idolize that make it the problem.
And that's the thing. And just like shouts out to Aziza, she brought it up, the topic, because the thing is just like how the whole protect Black women, it goes beyond the unfortunate death of Breonna Taylor. It goes way beyond being brutalized by police officers. It goes within our community. And as far as Black men protecting their Black women, even if you are not involved in a relationship, it's because that person could have been your mother, your sister, your grandmother, your aunt, anybody that has been a mentor in your life in some type of way. But in the fighting game community, like I mentioned, it's mostly Black and Hispanic men that make up the fighting game community. And then it's like, well, what is the self-hate thing? Because if you're treating your women like that, yet you don't treat the other women like that, that says a lot, because white men in the community is not treating white women like that. And if it is, it's sure not shown like how we are seeing it happen. And of course, the Asian men definitely is not treating the Asian women like that. Y'all don't find that to be highly embarrassing? Like highly embarrassing. So it's something that definitely needs to be changed. And of course, it's not saying like all the Black men in the fighting game community. Like I've said, there's been tons of phenomenal top players that have supported, embraced, and has been on a fight for change, a fight for something, or even creating sectors. Like I mentioned, Empire Arcadia having a sector for women. And then of course we have other pro players that have taken women under their wing and teach them as well too. So there's always a positive there, but in all of the negative, it's just standing up. When you see these things happening, y'all should feel really idiotic that you got your sis over there and you hear so and so like, yo, is she a dude? What?
Yeah.
Oh, she ain't got no makeup on. Okay, but this Asian woman don't have a makeup on either.
Exactly.
She's rocking a hoodie and a hat, and she got all these hip hop style clothes from y'all, as far as inspired by our culture, and she has no makeup on, and she didn't do as well as this one person right here that you see in front of you, but you going against them. That's just a problem that really has to change as a culture.
Yeah, it does have to change, because for some reason they think if it's if a Black woman's doing it, it's got to be tacky or ratchet. But if a woman does it from another culture, oh, it's trendy, it's edgy. It doesn't make any sense. It's just they're mad because maybe they had one bad experience with a Black woman, but maybe it's a you problem. Maybe it's a you problem. You ever think about that? Maybe. And that self-hate thing is very true. I personally have felt like I really don't rely on anybody in this scene to defend me. If you do, that's cool. But I don't rely on men to do it in this scene either, especially Black men, because it's not. I know it's like we're supposed to like be there for each other, but I've seen it way too many times where it's a very huge disappointment. And like you said, it doesn't mean that there hasn't been very supportive like players and like Black men, and it's been great, but I've seen too many times where it's fell through the cracks. But you expect me to be there for you for something else
all the time.
I stop. I don't do it. I don't support any of it. I'm like, you know what? You want to handle that? You can handle that. Even though I have the platform and I have the exposure to potentially bring more light to it, I'm not going to, because it's social media. People really know how to show the true colors on there. And I've seen a lot of things said, and I'm like, it looks like you're just fine on your own. Then fine, keep on being unheard. You want to talk about your problems and what the Black community is going through, but you can't listen to the Black women, right? But you want to disrespect Black women. All right, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like I said, whoever needs to be checked. Like I said, they need to be checked. But there's as far as like a movement on something, or even changing, a lot of us Black women, of course, will get tired. I, for one, because even like my story in this industry has been almost similar, as far as like it's been mostly Black men compromising my integrity. And no matter what, I still will stick up for my Black men. It's just that when there's a problem that needs to be put in line, I'm going to say something, I'm going to check it. Am I going to cancel you? No, I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to cancel you. But because I just don't believe in that. But you're going to get checked, and you're going to be put way over there. You're going to be put way over there. And I'm going to just let you be. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to let you be. But what needs to change and foster is like the morale. as well, you know, and bringing some type of positivity to change the narrative. Because I always say that, you know, where there's so much negativity and a lot of BS, there has to be a counter to it. So to segue into the next question, and especially because, you know, in this community, us as blacks in esports industry, what is some of the things, like I've seen like you coaching Athena, and I was like, wow, I love seeing stuff like that. What has been some of the stuff that you have done to counter the BS and change the narrative?
Oh yes. So to change the narrative, so things that things that I didn't even think about, but I just did because I love what I do. Being able to teach, being able to give my knowledge to Excel Academy was a huge deal because their whole thing is about, giving women the tools that they need to have that competitive edge, even more so, preparing them in certain ways. And so to be brought on as a coach was a huge honor because I have a lot of experience and I would love to give that to someone. But is the cherry on top was the fact that it was a Black woman, because not that any other colored woman would have been bad, because it's awesome too. But it's the fact that there's that connection because we are both Black, we are both women. Our experiences are similar, and
we all understand each other's plights. And
yeah, she literally said, she's like, you're the person. She's like, I wanted you to teach me. There was nobody else I wanted. If it wasn't you, I didn't even have anybody else. Wow. I wanted you to teach me, and she's like, having somebody that looks like you, has been through things and understands the competitive space, and she's like, you help me understand who I want to be in this space, because it's what you do, everything I do, but it was honestly just the fact that I could, an up and coming player, I could teach her not just about Tekken, but about some things to be prepared for, to help her not feel so alone in some of the experiences she has. I definitely find myself being protective of her in that sense because of it, because I don't want her to have to deal with it. I don't. So that's why, we try, touch the people that we do by, mentoring them so that it can be different this time around. And changing the narrative in that way. I feel like a lot of the time, when I want to speak about certain things, I was like, it'd be really cool to have a podcast or something. So something that me and my girlfriend Alicia did, we made a podcast called FGC Woke, and we've had I think we're on our 8th episode or 9th, but it was a really big deal for us because we started this months ago, but it was like last year. But we wanted to talk about social problems in the fighting game community and problems overall in the world that do trickle into our community. And so, of course, when we talked about it, sometimes you would hear we don't want politics in our games, but it's not politics, honestly.
It's life.
It really is. And the fact that you can't understand that these problems affect people in this community, then, this is not for you. And you're not actually a true part of the community. You're in a bubble. You don't watch tournaments. You don't listen to people. You watch one once a year and you think you're a part of the community. No, the community is all of this. It's not just the games. If it could just be about the games, it would be a much better place. But it's not, because people make it about so much more. They literally, problems happen literally because of gender, sexual orientation. There's so many things that just happen in the space because different types of people interact within it. And there's this power status too. And there's those types of problems. So podcast as well. Just being able to represent Black women on just things that I'm invited to. I've gotten to do a live stream to teach about Tekken, beginners intro to Tekken, and I do it on the Bandai Namco US Twitch stream. Yeah, I do it with Alicia. She does Soul Calibur, I do Tekken, and it's going to be our second stream on their channel, and it's a really big deal. Just being, because you don't see this stuff often.
Shouts out to Bandai Namco. Those are my peoples over there. I love that whole team and love with their, and they're always interested to know, well, what can I do to help? And shouts out to them. That's dope that you're gonna be on there and teaching, because when we were growing up, we didn't get to see
Yeah.
like the last thing I see as a child, like wow, was Storm. Like, you know, I was like a black woman superhero character. You know, I
Yeah.
always would see something else. So like representation means so much. And like when I got to see that you was teaching Athena as far as like with Tekken, I was like, wow. And you were saying she takes so much notes. And you know, a lot of people don't understand in any esport that it is a lot of calculations. It is a lot with critical thinking and a thought process. So what would you say to a up and coming, like a younger one of us, you know, as far as like, yeah, I want to compete, but damn, I've been hearing all this craziness. But like, what would you recommend to like to start out doing before making that first step and wanting to compete publicly?
So I think the first step to that is start out with your locals, go with friends, people that you trust, people that you know for a fact will not act differently around others, people that accept you for you. The support system is very huge in making that huge step. But yeah, start locally as well. Bring your friends. Just kind of get more acquainted with the scene first, and kind of ease your way into it. You know, go local, then maybe you go to something a little bigger, and then something a little bigger. But I wouldn't say just jump into it if that's not the kind of person you are, because it could be very overwhelming. The kind of culture it is can be very shocking at first if you're not used to it. Yeah, definitely people that you trust. Yeah, and sometimes, first, depending on the type of person you are, you might need a smaller setting, like maybe like a couple of people.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Ask questions. It's very, very important that you ask questions with people that you know. People that you know give you good vibes as well, because you don't want to ask questions to people who are complete jerks because they don't want to help you. They're not really a good part of the scene. Don't get wrapped up in the drama of the scene. You make your own path, your own way. So that's really, really important. You know what's best for you, but like I said, in asking questions of people that you know you can trust, forming those relationships with people that you know have your best interest, that's really huge in this. Because there's a lot of people that are out for themselves and they'll only use you for a certain thing. So definitely knowing who in your circle is about what. So that's really huge. And not having too big of a circle. You know, don't call everybody your friend. That's not what that is. The tightest, closest people to you, you're going to have like maybe 2 or 3. And then the rest are really great people, but they're not your friends. And I kind of just want to make that very clear. For competing, shoot, stay focused on what the goal is. Always remind yourself of what your goal is. The moment that starts to become fuzzy to you because of something you saw or something that somebody said, always recenter yourself on like why you're there. Because it's really important. Don't seek validation from other people. And the people
That's the number one thing. That's the number one thing people fall into the trap of, seeking validation from other people. And that's in anything in life.
Yeah.
Like
it's huge because like I never sought validation from other people because I was always trying to prove something to myself only, because like there's so much about the game that's so layered. And I've been competing for 6 years, but for like 3.5 of those years I was in school, so I only played in tournaments like sometimes, but I was always still playing the game because I was in school. So you know, like you kind of, you know what it takes to get there, but other stuff comes first, right? And so having that opportunity was awesome, but I never felt like, you know, I never did any of that for anybody else. Shoot, I would be a whole different person if I was doing any of this for anybody else. I am me. And like people have to remember that you, only you, like how you get to that that end goal, it's determined by you. You know, it's not you, and everybody like gets to that goal at different times, different speeds. So you can't compare yourself to anybody else. And no matter if somebody else stupidly does it, because it's not about that. It's about how you get there. It's about the climb and you know, how you get there. So that's what I think.
So take us on the journey of like your rise, because a lot of people like like when I got a chance to see, I was like, yo, wow, because I love watching Tekken. Tekken is one of my favorite fighting games, along with Mortal Kombat. And I was like, yo, so like take us along on how your rise and how you even got a chance to be recruited on your esports team, and let us know about that.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, like I said, I've been competing for 6 years, but part of that was very like local and regionally based. Um, but I was also still in school, so you know, I when I started competing, it was in Tekken Tag 2. And Tekken Tag 2 was not really promoted like that.
Yeah.
It was such a quiet scene. Nobody really knew about it. It got no love. And shouts to the tournaments who still kept it alive, by the way. Thank you. For real, because it's even though it was super dead and we all knew that, there were so many people that still want to support it, and that was huge. So when Tekken 7 was announced, you know, I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, I was really excited. But at that same time, I was literally going away to college. And so I would play when I had the time. But a lot of the time I was just busy. But when I got to play, I always would. So I got invited while I was in college, like my last year, in my last semester, I got invited by E-League to go and play in Atlanta. And I was a team captain as well, because it was a team tournament. It was 4 teams, I think, something like that. But I was team captain, you know, and I was the only woman as a team captain, and there was only like 2 women in general, me and one of my friends. But I was like, okay, awesome. But you know, at first I was like, well, that's really weird. I mean, I don't really compete that much, but I wasn't a slouch. Everybody knew like I was competent at the game, you know. But you know, the exposure, I didn't have it. I didn't really have it like that. But yeah, so I went. I literally told my illustration teacher, I was like, yo, yeah, I'm gonna go to this, and I'll be back, okay? I'll be back after the weekend. I always make sure my work is done. You finish that first. And he's like, okay, I'll punch it out, whatever. So I went, and I didn't know what to expect. I'm telling you, I had no idea. And so I went, and
this was like the first major like
I mean,
experience
for
on
American
TV.
Tekken, that was a huge deal. Yeah, because we went from always expecting that, you know, Tekken Tag, oh, you know, that's dry, that's you know, that's like dust, you know. And then we go to Tekken 7, and they're like, oh, E-League wants to pick this up, and we're gonna do something with this. And we're like, oh my God, we treated all the players who were invited, we treated everything so well. The staff was like, oh my God, these players are so nice. Because we're used to having nothing. And you know, so we go, you know, I play, and I take out like 4 players on the team. I take out the other part of the team that we went against. And a lot of people, I mean, some people knew who I was because they followed Tekken, you know, with Tag. And then others were like, oh my God, you know, she's awesome. She's, you know, like, it's cool to see a fresh face, whatever. And, you know, being on TV, the moment, because like, you know, after I took out the team for us to get to the finals, then another one of my teammates did a lot of work as well. And so, you know, he closed it out. You know, all my teammates were really fun. They did a great job. Like, they're super exciting to watch. You know, we ended all right. And, you know, they ask you a question as the confetti's coming down. You got the, you know, Harada puts the medal on your neck, and you're like, wow, yeah, this is, you know, because I've never had anything like that, because I didn't know, esports was so, I mean, FGC stuff is so weird back then. And it's funny because it's only been a couple of years, but, and even after that, it was, you know, really positive experience for the most part. Like, you know, if I take away like some of the comments and whatever, the actual experience, me being there and showing that I'm a really smart player. Oh yeah, I was so proud of myself. Yeah, pat on the back, you know. Parents gave me roses and everything. And so then that happened, and you know, I was really proud of myself. I had to go back to school, finish that up. It did. And then Equinox asked me. They were scouting. They were scouting players, and they had definitely looked at my other performances, because I also had gone to Comic Breaker and stuff, and I was doing really good. And even when we only had like the arcade box version of Tekken 7 at tournaments, like, you know, I was still playing at those as well. But Equinox, they asked me if I wanted to be a part of their team. At the end of 2018, after I graduated and everything. And I was like, yeah, like I asked Tasty Steve what he thought about the team, because he said, you know, Diamondback's on the team and I know him, they treat him really well. Joey's on the team, they treat him really well. And I said, okay. And I didn't expect it to go this way, because I have a degree in something completely different, but I still use it, but it's different. I know that was a really odd, long story, but the fact is, it's just it's very, like, I don't know. I didn't expect it to be this. I didn't. They are the reason why I have the exposure that I do. You know, they are the reason why I'm a pro player and a top player. My team is, because the manager herself is a woman, and she's also become a really close friend because she understands like what it's everything that, you know, the goal, the dream, the hard work. She's helped me so much. Emily has helped me so much. Now that's somebody who's in my corner. She's in my corner, and I know that. And all my moments, all of my accomplishments, all my placements, all my performances, like the pride that I feel being on this team because they actually care, you know, like I'm so grateful. Like I said, I traveled the whole year. Before this all started, before we did this interview, I know, you know, I said I traveled for a whole year. Like I put myself on the map. I worked my little buns off. I solidified myself as a top player, and because I trained, I wanted it, right? I wanted it. But you know, here I am now, and I feel really good. I feel established, and I will, you know, I'm still training and you know, placing really well too, and it makes me really happy. There's a lot of good stuff. I guess I don't get to reflect on it too much, because I always feel like
it's still a fight.
Busy.
Yeah, it's still a fight. It's still a path. There's no plateau. It's like, you know, just like we were speaking even before the interview, I love your perseverance. Like I love how, and I think that's really strong for us, especially as Black women, to have, because we're gonna go through mad hurdles. Expect it. This is what it is. But don't play upon it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so use that to your advantage. Like, yup, I'm gonna do this, and even my least is my best, but I know I could be better than what I thought my least was. So
Exactly.
I love that you kept, and what I noticed, like I just got an epiphany. Your rise is like synonymous with the rise of Tekken, because Tekken, as we always knew, wasn't a lot of time on the main stage. A lot of times, and now it's been on the main stage with Tekken 7. A lot has happened. Even them introducing and adding a Black female character to the game. Like, it's been a lot of history made with Tekken, and you're damn sure a part of it. And I just love that whole story, like, put together as well too. What would you say, like, on a positive note, that's needed? Because I know we mentioned too, like in esports in general, a lot of marketing, but a lot of players have to take a hold of marketing themselves, you know, making sure that they're on the newswire in some form, way, of fashion. Their voices are heard. If they're a part of a cause, that they be a part of those different causes. I don't care if it's saving whales, like whatever the case may be, like, just if that's what you into, you know, be vocal about it. What was something you would say as far as like what's needed right now as a sisterhood? Because you're already starting that now too, even like with Athena, and I see you on Twitter all the time bigging up and showcasing or retweeting other women. What's something that you think is needed that we need to follow as like second nature, as sisterhood in the FGC or in esports as general?
So something that I felt like has been very successful has been like things like EXO Academy, that really, like, even if, you know, I know that not everybody has certain resources, like I get that, and that's fine too. but there are also other orgs like Combo Queens and such that really promote like, you know, the empowerment of women and you know, women being, you know, respected and safe in the space.
Yeah,
And, you know,
we got
having
ladies'
panels
night with Professor
with
High Cake.
exactly things like ladies' night, and she's also having a tournament coming up too for
Yes.
women. I believe it's only for Tekken, but either way, it's Tekken, so that's awesome. I'm all about
Facts.
that. So, you know, like the fact that, you know, she runs that, you know, and she's always super vocal, you know, and she's also very supportive. But just, you know, more of that, more people showing that. I really truly feel like it's just more people doing things like that because, you know, the people that we named and the groups that we named are doing it, but we sure need more. And the more people that do it, it shows that it's more normal and it should be normalized. And, okay, and also other people with platforms promoting like those orgs instead of like, and now I have seen this, yeah, like news, like gaming news outlets not covering those
scenes.
projects, which they really should be. They really should be promoting these because, in my opinion, the FGC isn't going to get anywhere if they don't start being more inclusive because they have a really, like, there's a really big problem there. So showing that also means, you know, we promote it, we talk about it, we cover it. And that's really important. And you know, more players are saying, hey, follow this. Hey, support this because X, Y, and Z. Instead of just like, oh, okay, you know, if it doesn't pertain to me, then I'm not gonna worry about it. Well, no, this is like, this community is the reason why you eat.
Yeah.
So you really need to start respecting all the people in it. And like, just because you don't retweet something doesn't mean you're not a part of the problem. And I think more people need to definitely talk about those causes. Like I said, like the EXO academies, like the ladies' nights and stuff like that. Because and definitely the fact that more things are being made. Oh, also the 1,000 Dreams Fund is an awesome.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, I know I could talk about, but like, you know, they're doing a panel and there's different women on it that are professionals. I believe all in gaming, or you know, things pertaining to like tech and stuff too. But yeah, I'm also gonna be on it, so I get to like talk.
Oh.
You know, like, you know, where you've been, where you are now, and like how other women can get to that. So it makes it feel less scary, you know, and it doesn't turn them away from wanting to actually pursue something that they love dearly. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. Gamehers is like they're doing
yeah, shouts out to Gamer.
Yeah, they're doing like a what's it? My brain is doing that thing. Oh, awards. You know, also giving thanks to the women who are slaying it in the scene in the different categories, so the nominations and awards. And I think that's beautiful. And there's a lot of positive things. I just want it to be covered more. So, you know, that's why I try and retweet and talk about it. Because the change is happening. Yes. And I see a lot more like women-based things and like or like things that amplify the voices of women and praising them a lot more than I used to. And so we're getting there. And just more of that. More of that, please. And normalizing it. I think I kind of stated,
yeah. So what's some other things you like? Of course, you say you went to school for illustration, right? So outside of all the fighting game stuff, what's some of the things that ground you and kind of just relax, that just put you back into your zen? Like, what's some of those things you would say?
You know, some of the things that put me back into my zen are my family. It used to be something that I felt I was so used to kind of just being on my own, just especially because of school being gone. I didn't commute. I stayed at school. But now that I'm back at home, family really keeps me centered, like a lot. My sisters, I love them. I love them so much. One of my sisters in particular, I just want to talk about my sister, Ash. Everybody calls us twins, but we're not. She's 2 years younger than me, but she and I are very close. We're very connected. And she knows me better than dang near everybody. She like we feel what the other feels, and you know, that's my heart. And so talking to her always keeps me centered. Something else I noticed is just taking that time away from social media sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Being able to just sit and eat. I know that probably sounds funny, but just being able to sit and eat because I neglect it so much.
What's your favorite food? Like, what is your favorite food you must have?
Ooh. Okay, therapeutic meal for me is a burger and fry with a Coke. I am such like a burger lover. I love burgers, and so sometimes if I'm having a really rough day, it was a rough day at the office.
That's your comfort food.
And then I turn on something on Netflix. I'm like, let's go. Like I feel good. Like, I feel so good sometimes when I get to eat something, or like I wake up and I'm like, okay. Because I work out. I work out at least 3 to 4 times a week. So I'm like, okay, time to work out. And that makes you feel good because I get to run and burn a lot of that like anxiety that I have, which comes, I think, sometimes with dealing with social media, dealing with people, different characters in the community, and situations that you have to deal with even though you don't want to. So all that really keeps me centered. And drawing does too. So.
Wow. So it's like with, you have 2 career paths. So as far, which is awesome. Like I wear many hats too. I don't care. I love it. I'm gonna love what I want to do in life. You only got one life. So as far as your 2 career paths, where do you want to take that? Like, of course, you're a pro athlete in esports. And then as far as an illustration, where do you want to take that? Do you want to keep it in gaming, or do you want to broaden your horizons in other industries?
Great question. Well, for illustration, honestly, I've been using a lot of what I learned at school, and like what I do with my brand. So I use it more for that now, so that I can actually use it in the career path that has been very successful for me. Like, I've gotten a lot from it. So because I've earned a lot from it, whether it's monetary, notoriety, I'm like, you know what? Let's go with that, for right now. Because I know when I'm, to the point where I feel comfortable enough, like financially, just business-wise, then when I'm comfortable, I will kind of revisit the illustration part, like the actual illustration part. But a lot of it, I think, was also physically taxing on me. So I kind of had to like really separate myself, which is something that I noticed that I asked Twitter this about art and artists after you're done with school. Like, is it normal to like kind of separate yourself from it sometimes? And they're like, yeah, it's actually very normal. All the time, all the work, all the stress. Yeah, oh my God, when I tell you, I was a color pencil specialist. And I mean, I still am. I'm never say I'm not gonna say like I'm just, it's dead. It's not dead. When I touch the pencils, it literally makes my heart jump. But the thing is, I love what I do here too. I just want to be able to like, I'm actually seeing the results is what I'm saying, And so because of that, I really want to keep on like growing that and, expanding on this in gaming, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a lot of experience, like networking and, which I've also done as well. I just finished interning with a PC gamer, which was really, really fun.
Oh, wow.
And so networking in that way too. I've been networking a lot, whether it was with Bandai Namco, PC Gamer, just tons of stuff, but trying to get that experience so that I have different types of like opportunities. So yeah, I'm just trying to become more rounded. So I'm trying to make my resume look really, really good.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. So you don't have to rely on one thing, or you could just explore everything and be fully faceted in different stuff. So I see some plushies back there. I see Kirby. I see, is that Spyro?
Yeah.
Spyro. Is there anything like you collect or anything like that? Because I'm a big collector. I got pop figures. I have to stop. I got too many pop figures like right now.
I got some pops too, but like I got this from a friend. That's a lot. I collect. I think honestly, the most things that I've collected is tournament badges. Oh my God! This is so
Hello
cute.
Kitty.
Hello Kitty is so cute. I like her too. Yeah.
And I got my T'Challa.
Okay, how did I not know that Pop had all these figures? I'm so mad. Like, I didn't even know. This is so cute.
Then I just got my action figures. I love Storm. It's my favorite.
Wow. So like you just have them just like, up somewhere, you got them hanging like, like a display, like museum?
Now it's in my little special quarter because like we're revamping the room. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with these pop figures that I have. Right now they're in a closet. It looks like a GameStop just or like a comic book store in a closet. So I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to figure that out for sure. But is there anything else on like what's next? What's next, Cuddle, on you or what you want to do or anything? Will we see you next?
I'm gonna be competing soon, so that'll be fun. I'm not really gonna talk about what it is because that is a lovely secret. But
Okay.
but you'll know when it pops up on Twitter and I retweet everything. So I'm excited for that.
Are you excited for next gen?
I don't know. I gotta be 100. I don't know because it doesn't affect me because Tekken's not on there. But no. But my dad, he's like, you gotta find a way to get that PS5 in this house. I said, I'm like, I gave you a whole PS4, okay? But I was like, no. But honestly, I gotta have a PlayStation in this house. I've become such a PC head. I've become such a PC person, though. I just can't help it now. But I'm sure a PS5 will be in this house. And it looks good. It's promising. I love PlayStation. I've loved so many of their titles because I grew up with them as a kid. So I'm pretty sure PlayStation is definitely going to be the way that I go.
All right. So that Miles Morales will be in the household.
Yes, my dad. Okay. I'm pretty sure he was like feeling that because he watches like the videos of like the new games coming out. He watches them at work. And I'm like, he's like, you've seen the new? Oh my God.
All right. Your dad is a cool dad. Dope. That's what's up. So anything else you want to share?
I've been really happy about the different opportunities that have been presenting themselves in the community. A lot of chances for people to grow. I think it's been really eye-opening for a lot of people, including myself. I was worried at first that, it's about, I gotta be the player. It's just, player only. No. So it's been great that these last 6 months, I've been learning and growing a lot as a person in the business realm of esports, but also I've learned more about the type of person I want to be and what does my brand stand for. And because I think that's really, really important. What do I stand for? What does my brand say that I stand for? It's really important that with your brand, what does it say about you? It's not about emulating others. You want to make sure that it talks about what you're passionate about, what you like, what you don't like. But at the end of the day, it's like, because there's only one you. Remember that. Like, I always want to tell people, there's only one you. So make it count for something. When you speak, will people go, oh God? Or will they go, you know what? Yeah, let's listen. Let's give a good listen. And so yeah, this journey has been great. I really think there's a lot of positive opportunities for people. You've definitely seen them with Twitch. They've been doing a really good job with amplifying certain creators as well, who totally deserve it, and different types of people. And that's really important to do. So take advantage of those opportunities. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It's huge. Always put, if you're trying to do something in this space, put yourself out there.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's
Thank you, because a lot of people, I always say, can't be frugal with your talent and be like, well, I don't understand why this is not happening. You have to just take that risk, take that chance, not go, just as long as you don't, it's something that you don't lose your life on. So I'm saying like, but of course, take that chance, take it, research, make sure you're safe in whatever you're about to make that decision on as well, whatever you have to pray about, whatever you have to meditate about. But definitely a lot of people, I'm like, yo, do you know why you don't do this and why you don't showcase this? And I'm like, it could be a simple, just put your art up. I tell my friend all the time, I'm like, just put it on Instagram, put a signature on it. Just put it out there. You never know who's watching you. You want to start streaming? I don't care if no one's in there. It's gonna be a donut probably for some months or for some weeks. But act like your whole family and crew is in there. Let everybody know that you
You have to
stream.
start somewhere.
You
Yes.
have to start somewhere. I started out with a donut on the side. I started out being very awkward in front of the camera. I started out, I was just seeing my friend Erin, shouts out to Erin, who she was just showing like her first interviews. And she was like, yo, this wasn't something overnight. Like I had to really sharpen the blade, learn my craft, be more comfortable in front of the camera, and like we was mentioning with a lot of esports players, a lot of times there is a lot of awkwardness, but familiarize yourself in front of the camera so it won't be so awkward. And you're going to get people that interview you, so act like somebody is even when you're streaming, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm so happy that you wasn't fearful to start your journey, because now I'm talking with you. So that's I really appreciate that. I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for what you stand for in this industry, and also in the community, standing up for Black women's rights in the community as well, and fostering that sisterhood. That's something that is always lost. And I love that you are becoming you're a pillar of that, and all the knowledge you've been dropping too. So Cuddle Core, thank you so much. Are you so cute? Like you like you my little sister. So like, you're so cute. But thank you so much. I love your personality. And everyone, this is Uncovering Black Women's Voices in Esports. This is a continuing from the panel, and there will be many more episodes to showcase us, because we're here. We're not going anywhere. Peace, y'all. It's REDinFamy, your master geektress, and the Cuddle Core.